I've waited a long time to do this. Welcome, Brandon. I am glad you are here. I believe you have the focus and integrity to offer us something that we don't already have up here. When the last election was held, and you did really admirably, but Uncle Drew got in your way. I think this was meant to be, and I'm glad to see you here. There's something about you that I'm not sure everybody understands. You're a public sector employee, and I think your political colleagues will be intrigued when they finally realize you are now the Honorable Brandon Roque. And I think that, you know, when that happened to me where I work, it was like, city council's like, really, what's going on with politics? But I think the people that you work with, at the level you work with, the regional level, are going to be happy for you, and I think that they're going to realize that you've jumped up a notch. I think that you have access to regional assembly representatives that we don't have now, and I'm glad you're here. So you have a meaningful access to that level where you can advocate for us at that level here. I think that the day will come, because I've heard you have political aspirations. Imagine that. Maybe that's why you're sitting here now. God, I'm so smart.
I'm sitting here to help the community.
Right. So, but I think what's going to happen is someday you're going to have to, like, maybe choose between 5,000 jobs over there and upsetting Jackie Ayer. Listen, there are 5,000 people I'd rather have go against me at once than her. So keep her happy. She's good for you at the county. But, son, I'm glad you are here.
Thank you, Ken.
All right. You?
Well, I'm much shorter than that. Brandon, thank you so much. I've met you a few times, even before you ran.
Okay, I have a few things, Kelly. This may be a good time for you to take a nap. Miss Fox, welcome. I actually care that you're here. Facilities. I'm hearing noise about handbells and the keyboard room, both of which I'm ignorant to, but there seems to be a problem with heat, so put a temperature gauge in there and track it, and please have a look at that. I want to thank all the staff who conducted ESY and summer school sessions for our students this year. I'd like to recognize transportation and SPED staff members, Martin Tapia, who's a bus driver, and Sindi Manzanaris, who is an aide, who both were handed Stay Gold coins on the bus the last morning of the ESY session. Thank you. Again, it's time for the Jackie Ayer Show. I want to talk to you a little bit about, Jackie kind of keeps us in touch of, if I can figure out what she's talking about after a while. She started to tell us about that there's relaxation of the housing density standards in North Los Angeles County, meaning that the tent camps and some of the old RV parks are going to become attractive to people that are moving in maybe out of downtown LA. Tent camps where the election is kind of coming around. I don't think that's popular for a mayor candidate to have that there. So I went to a meeting of the Westside Urban Forum as an urban forester for the agency I represent. But I had a chance to talk to Lauren Faber, who's Mayor Garcetti's Chief Sustainability Officer, regarding the potential displacement of those tent camps up into here. Those people are already disenfranchised, so moving them out here would further disenfranchise them by starting off, there is no mass transit, there is no, Jackie's back there ready to jump up and tell me a million things that wouldn't be fair to these people. But what I'm concerned about is down in there is a focus of county health and city health and mental health services that I don't think is up here. I do like ADA, but I don't like people coming up here completely disenfranchised and not knowing they're coming. I've already had cursory conversations with Superintendent King and our new SPED Services Director, Dr. Tim, back there. And I was very impressed with Dr. Tim right away because he has the ability to jump past IEPs and whether or not they're being held on time and into issues like how to deal with disenfranchised homeless people and get people pointed towards services. And his background is in a much larger metropolitan area. So welcome, Tim. Speaking of SPED and Dr. Tim, the CAC of the SELPA, which is a community advisory committee, is firing back up for the year. It's a great place to stay on top of the positive things you can do to know about special education in your district and support it. There's all kinds of training that is available for parents, and I think the district should have a strong representation there. Consider going to the CAC meetings for the SELPA. One more time, Dr. Tim, I want to welcome you and the other employees I met at the breakfast. There's a great promise in the new employees I met there. Some of them I have known for years from other placements and know them to be true professionals. When I talked to everyone there, I reminded them that this is a small district. What you are going to do here is going to make a difference. There is no one to hide behind. You will be directly measurable here as an employee. And isn't that great? Or not? Welcome aboard anyway. Mr. Brockway. Where'd he go? Good. It's too bad your family can't hear. This is gonna be really good for you at home. I will sell you a copy of my GoPro tape for $20. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your humble nature. I can tell already you're quiet. One of the people that is everywhere all the time, and you can't get away from you. I see that. That's going to be handy out in the parking lot at our school. But I think what's really important here is that the community participated in the recruitment process. It's ultimately up to Mr. King on who he chooses to hire. But I'm so glad the community helped select you, sir. And when the community is involved in a hiring of a person, I'm a firm believer. I've worked for Steve Wynn and a couple other high-dollar companies, and I'm a firm believer that if you give employees the ability to be excellent and provide them what they need, then the impetus for them to be excellent employees is on them. So I think the community has handed you a welcome key to the school, and I very much like it that you are supported in every way. And now we can just watch what he's going to do instead of trying to manipulate him into what we don't know what we need him to be. And I just said a ton there, and I hope everyone's listening. How you doing, Kelly? I'm halfway through. The more bored you look, the slower I go. Okay.
Hurry, I got to go to work tomorrow.
I don't. You should get a job like me. Thanks to the booster, so you don't want me to talk about the booster and the PTSO. No, I know you do. Okay. I saw enrollment sessions going on at 2 schools. I personally walked in there and saw what was going on. So does anyone know what our LCAP says about some of our goals with the English learners and Title I students? Do you really know what that means? Because we sit up here and rubber stamp this and say, okay, we should do that, and that's great. But I think I need to connect some dots for everybody out there. If you look at any normally functioning public agency, there is a priority exercise, and this board sits up and realizes, you know, this is what we should be focused on, and that becomes something that the community buys into. If the community doesn't buy into it, then there's no reason for them to vote to you, and you shouldn't be up here. Remember that in about X number of months.
14.
Okay, thank you, Tim. But the priority exercise becomes the basis for the strategic plan, which is a Kelly initiative. She's got something over there that's been going on for years, and it's successful. But how does that measure up when the community isn't engaged? So I see at these enrollments, there are communities engaged, the community is engaged, and you see it in the most simple things like, if you walk in and you don't speak English well, and you're at a new school and and there's nobody around to help you, how do you feel? You feel disenfranchised and scared. You don't feel welcome. And so when you feel welcome, do you really want to go to the school if you don't feel welcome? That's where our ADA bleed off goes to. What if you're someone that's got a free and reduced lunch program application so everyone can look at you and make their status judgment? You know, the kids with the ponies can look down on you, right? I saw people going around protecting the dignity of children at those things, and that was our parent groups, our PTSO and booster clubs, and that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where kids get retained, not just us up here saying, yeah, that looks good, do it. Thank you. Stop crying now. And I'll end by saying this. The DLAC, ELAC, what is it? Both? Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
District and-
Do you know that they actually provided refreshments for our staff at Meadowlark the first day of school? And it will be my expectation that DLAC, ELAC, whatever LAC, and the booster clubs and the PTSO become one unit for the purpose of retaining ADA. Can we do that? Perfect. I'm done. Kelly. To translate that to everyone who has my level of education, what that says is there is somewhere between 20 and 30% of our revenue is based on charter revenue. So what you just heard is the county is telling you that in order to be positively certified, the difference between that and negative certification is your ability to hold a reserve of 3% of your budget at the end of the year. A significant amount of our revenue, including the amount of reserve we have, is based on charter revenue. So if you're smart, you will look at the charter revenue and watch what's happening. There's legislation, there's all kinds of things affecting this, and I've been talking to you about this since 8 years ago in the newspaper. So they're telling you that we're giving you this little warning that says don't depend on that to be there long term. So does that sum it up pretty well? Yeah. Perfect, thank you. I thank the unions and the associations for keeping on top of what's happening with our financial situation and coming to the table in good faith with numbers that make sense instead of being ridiculous and making it difficult. So thank you very much, and pass that on to your colleagues, please.